What's up, continues here. Since today is President's Day, I decided. Now, I already did do my a top 10 list when I was talking about best portrayals of real life presidents and stuff. Now it's time for the fictional president's turn. So here is my official top 10 favorite fictional presidents in movies. There's been some pretty good ones out there. I mean, hey, these fictional presidents are far better than who we have now, right? But here is my official top 10. All right. Coming in at number 10 is John Travolta for primary colors. Now he plays future president Jack Stanton, and technically this is more based on Bill Clinton's presidency, but he's not really playing Bill Clinton, so that's kind of why he's included here. But of course, this is pretty much loosely based on Bill Clinton's 1992 campaign, and follows Southern Governor Jack Stanton as he runs for president here, and it follows focuses on his charisma, scandal and stuff. Of course, you have the likes of Emma Thompson, Billy Bob Thornton, some really good cast members here and there. John Travolta, I really thought did such a good job throughout. Definitely, again, he wasn't really playing Bill Clinton or anything, but he definitely had that Bill Clinton persona to him. Really decent job there. Emma Thompson is really great as well. It's a really decent political film as well, worth watching. All right, number 9 is something that we're most likely living true here. Number 9 is Terry Crews in Iraqi. Now, this is, of course, a dystopian future where intelligence has drastically declined, and a former pro wrestler and action star is present here. And you know what? This movie was way ahead of its time, especially with who we have nowadays. But hey, Iraqi, of course, from Mike Judge, it's a really fun little comedy. With the likes of Luke Wilson, Terry Crews is great in this one. You also have Dax Shepard, Maya Rudolph, Andrew Wilson, David Hermer. List goes on and on. It is a really hilarious one throughout. Definitely one of the funniest presidents today. I mean, Terry Crews is pretty much one of the buff presidents today, but a really good portrayal there. All right, number 8 is Jeff Bridges in The Contender. Now here he plays the character of Jackson Evans. And of course, we're the after the vice president dies here. President Evans, nominates a female senator to replace him, and the movie is a really decent one. Of course, you have the likes of some really decent supporting players. Of course, you have Joan Allen's in this. You do have the likes of Gary Oldman, Tricia Slater, Sam Elliott. It is a really decent political film. Jeff Bridges really does such a good job here. Of course, it is a confirmation battlefield by scandal and political hypocrisy here. And Evans really stands firmly behind his nominee despite intense pressure here. And of course, this movie was definitely way ahead of its time. But I really thought Jeff Bridges gave it all with this one. And of course, if you guys haven't seen it, give it a go. Of course, directed by Rod Laurie. Really good film there. All right. Number 7 is Michael Douglas in The American President. Now here you got Michael Douglas, who plays President Andrew Shepard, who's a widowed liberal U.S. president who navigates re-election pressures here. This is, of course, directed by the late, great Rob Reiner. You got Annette Bening, Martin Sheen. If it wasn't for this movie, we probably wouldn't have The West Wing, to be honest with you. So, yeah, The American President really paved way for The West Wing. Ironic, Martin Sheen's in both here. Of course, you have Michael J. Fox was in this as well. I mean, The American President is a really decent flick. Really good chemistry with Michael Douglas and Annette Bening. Of course, he was with a lobbyist played by Bening. It's such a really heartfelt story. Of course, Michael Douglas will go on to play another president. His last recent gig, he played Benjamin Franklin in the Apple Franklin series. Did a good job there. And yeah, Michael Douglas is really good in this one. Definitely combine him as a president perfectly. All right, number 6 is more of a comedic one, and that is Leslie Nielsen in Scary Movie 3. Of course, this is a horror comedy spoof where President Harris responds to an alien invasion and other supernatural chaos here. And this is one of my favorite Leslie Nielsen spook portrayals. He is like this was of course like later in his career, but he really played the president perfectly. You know, he definitely plays like the dumb type of president really well. Of course, I really quite like the alien reference, not the alien, the airplane reference towards the end. We're all wishing you both good luck. We're all counting on you. I love how he slipped a airplane reference because this is from the same people who gave us airplanes, so it makes sense there. You know, I mean, stuff that he does to this is great. Of course, you have even Ja Rule. Like, whoever would expect Leslie Nielsen and Ja Rule to have a good team up together. Interesting there. But yeah, Leslie Nielsen is great in this one. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite portrayals of his. Really hilarious throughout. You know, of course, like him coming in as a president, perfect. I mean, you'll always gotta wonder like who even vote for this guy. But hey, who we have as president now, it's no far fetch who of anyone being president, you know. But Leslie Nielsen, yeah, really good portrayal here. All right, coming in at number 5 is Morgan Freeman in Deep Impact. Now, I could totally buy Morgan Freeman as the president perfectly with his soothing voice and all. Uh, this is of course features the likes of Taylor Leone, Elijah Wood. You know, when of course a massive comet threatens Earth with extinction, President Tom Beck, played by Freeman, pretty much guides the nation through like presentation efforts. He has a really decent speech throughout as well. I mean, it's definitely like this movie actually came out the same year as Armageddon. You know, that was like the year of asteroid movies. You know, we had Armageddon, and of course there was the Impact in that same year. That was a cool year for asteroid films, you know. And so, yeah, of course, Morgan Freeman really abides the president actually perfectly here. Does such a good job. His iconic speech is really good. It is a really good portrayal here. Number 4 is Kevin Kline in Dave. Now here he plays President William Bill Mitchell, who, of course, after the real president falls into a coma, a kind-hearted temp agency owner who happens to look exactly like him is recruited to impersonate the commander-in-chief. And he has a really, of course, this was directed by former Ghostbusters director Ivor Reitman, starring Sigourney Weaver, Kevin Kline, Sir Ben Kingsley, Frank Langella, Charles Grodin. Some really good, cool cast members here and there. Kevin Kline is really hilarious throughout. Of course, Ivor Reitman directed this really well. Really funny little film if you guys haven't seen that one. All right, number 3 is Jack Nicholson in Mars Attacks. Funny enough is that Annette Bening was also in this as well. So cool year for Annette Bening being in like president type stuff in the 90s. Of course, Jack Nicholson as President James Dale in Mars Attack. I mean, he literally shakes hands with an alien. One more key act for there. Of course, this is Tim Burton's sci-fi satire, where Martians invade Earth under the guide diplomacy here, and of course, President Dale intentionally attempts peaceful communication here, and this is really one of my favorite Tim Burton movies. It's really fun. Love the callbacks to the sci-fi genre here. You know, I've always loved the alien looks throughout, and you have a great cast list. You know, I mean, from the likes of the aforementioned Annette Bening, this was one of Jack Black's earliest roles. Of course, you had Danny DeVito, Lisa Marie Presley. You also had Glenn Close as the first lady. Some cool cast members, and you could really buy Jack Nicholson as a president too. Well, really cool role there. All right, number 2 is Harrison Ford in Air Force One. Now, he just played another president just recent in Captain America Civil War. But this is his best president role. I really think that Air Force One, to me, is actually his best non-Indiana Jones and Star Wars related role. It's just such a really cool one. Of course, it was where like a Russian of course, where attackers hijack an Air Force One plane, and President Marshall, played by Ford, a Vietnam veteran, pretty much refuses to negotiate. And he also had the aforementioned Gary Oldman in this, the aforementioned Joan Allen, and all. I mean, of course, Air Force One is a real, and you even have Glenn Close also in this as well. Wendy Cruz. Oh no, not Joan Allen. I meant to say Wendy Cruz. My bad. Uh, of course, William H. Macy. It's such a really cool, fun action, nice style film. Wolfgang Pearson directed this really well. Of course, Harrison Ford's iconic line of "Get off my plane" is really great. I mean, this is like a really cool, present action movie because it's really a present like that really shows he doesn't need Secret Service. He really does his stuff just by himself and all, and he just has some cool set skills there. I mean, just a really cool portrayal here. And my number one favorite fictional president of all time is This A Surprise, one of the most iconic speeches in sci-fi movie history. Bill Pullman in Independence Day. President Thomas J. Whitmore. Of course, we're like an alien invasion cripples Earth. The U.S. leads like a global counter attack, and President Whitmore, who's a former fire pilot, delivers one of the most iconic 4th of July speeches ever. I mean, I feel like this speech actually gets shown like tons of in film classes tons of times. It's such a really good president here. Of course, he will go on to reprise his role in Independence Day Resurgence, which we don't talk about. But such a cool president, to say the least here. Really cool portrayal. Bill Pullman does such a good job. Obviously, Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, some other good cast members here too. Great direction by Roland Emmerich. I mean, it's definitely one of the most iconic, presidents, like fiction presidents in movie history of all time, and a really cool portrayal there. But that's pretty much it there. Here's my quick rundown. Number 10, John Travolta for Primary Colors. 9, Terry Crews for Irossi. 8, Jeff Bridges for The Contender. 7, Michael Douglas for The American President. 6, Leslie Nielsen for Scary Movie 3. 5, Morgan Freeman for Deep Impact. 4, Kevin Kline for Dave. 3, Jack Nicholson for Mars Attacks. 2, Harrison Ford for Air Force One. And number 1, Bill Pullman for Independence Day. There are a few other ones I could have included as well. Aaron Eckhart for Olympus Has Fallen is another good one. I was talking about how like Deep Impact and Armageddon came out the same year. That not to compare it to when Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down came out the same year as well. Of course, Jamie Foxx was a president in White House Down. Although I had to prefer White House Down a little more than Olympus Has Fallen. That's actually unpopular to say because more people prefer Olympus Has Fallen more. I had more of a fun time with White House Down. I just had more humor to it. Love the chemistry with Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. I just had a huge more fun time with that one, but that's just me. Kevin James in Pixels, of all things. Alan Alda in The Canadian Bacon. Peter Sellers in Doctor Strangelove. Dr. Pleasance, Donna Pleasance in Escape from New York. I mean, I could have had loads of other ones. Anyway, let me let you guys. Who are some of your favorite fiction presidents in movies? Draw comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Timmy Sire.